Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Parenting Tools podcast.
Season 2. Welcome back.
It's here. My name's Jason.
And I'm Jordan. This is the podcast if you're new for Season 2. The podcast where me and Jason, two normal dads, you could say we're just a couple of tools. Still can't believe we called it that. Let's talk about our lives as dads. Jace, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How are you?
Do you know what? I'm going to be honest, I am feigning. Is that the right word? I'm feigning enthusiasm.
Are you?
Yeah, because I'm
Solid
shattered.
Start to the year.
I am shattered. I'm so tired.
I am unenthused.
I'm excited to be back on the podcast, but I'm so tired. It's not even the last week. The last 2 days have been so difficult. Lack of sleep. Just my 2-year-old is honestly just so smart now. It's annoying. For example, trying to get her to stay in bed yesterday. Just lunchtime little nap. And we've resorted to, last resort is, right, we're going to take away a toy for the rest of the day.
Ooh.
And she got this little wooden camera for Christmas.
Nice.
She loves it. And I was like, right now, if you don't stay in your bed, I have to take away your camera for the rest of the day. And she's like, no, don't take away my camera. Don't take away my camera. And then she suddenly just stopped and then went, I'll have to use Mummy's camera on her phone.
Yep.
And she was like, fine.
Alternative.
Take it. Honestly, she's outsmarted me. I don't know what to do.
I love that it took you less than 1 minute 30 seconds to get into the first moan.
Honestly,
Straight in.
I've been holding it in.
So that was last 2 days. I want to pull you up on something though.
Oh.
What happened 3 days ago?
I honestly can't remember.
Because I got a text off you saying she slept for 13 hours.
Oh, my word.
Come on now.
Fantastic. See, that's how quickly things can change in parenting. You're literally on the top of the world, 13 hours of sleep.
Oh.
And the next minute, it's like it never happened. So she fell asleep on the way home from Nanny's. 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Evening? On the cusp of the evening.
Straddling
the evening. And she wanted to go straight to bed because she hadn't slept at lunchtime.
Mm.
I refuse to think that she's dropping her lunchtime nap at the moment because I need it.
Yep. Well, we are there. I'll come back to it. but we are there.
We had she slept for 13 hours, which I think is the first unbroken night's sleep I've had in months.
Mm.
I felt like a new man.
You were texting me about this.
And now that's gone.
Yeah. You were texting me about this the night after I had an awful night's sleep. So
I felt so elated.
I'm glad. I'm glad the last 2 days have been awful for you. I take that back. That's an awful thing to say.
So, John, how was New Year?
Oh, Christmas, New Year. It's busy, isn't it?
It's in the
but
distant
it's
past now.
fun. It's fun with kids. Yeah, it was good. It was busy. I said to Liana on I think it was the 23rd of December. Like, I'm looking forward to these next few days, but I'm also looking forward to them being finished because it's just busy, isn't it?
It's hectic.
But it was great. Christmas morning with the kids.
Oh, honestly,
superb.
I've loved. Noah my daughter can enjoy Christmas this year. Last year she just wanted the wrapping paper. This year she's well into it. And
yeah,
it's so exciting. Like they do say, they say it brings the magic back into Christmas.
It does.
And it does. Genuinely so excited now for next year.
Yeah. No, so it was good. And my little boy, he got his light year stuff that he asked for, and he was unwrapping them. He was going, just what I wanted, every time. So yeah, it was good. And then obviously you have your Christmas church services and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was good. What about you?
Yeah.
It's a working day for you, isn't it?
It is. Christmas is a working day, but it's like a lot stripped back. So take it easy. Usually I'm at church like a few hours before it starts. On Christmas Day we rock it like half an hour before.
Do you pay yourself time and a half?
I wish. But this year it felt quite awkwardly because New Year's Day was on a Sunday as well.
Yep.
And so they do a New Year's Eve thing at church, and because it's a Sunday, it's like, we should probably do a Sunday morning thing as well.
Yeah.
So I opted to go to bed at 10:30 on New Year's Eve.
We did the same.
Come on.
Not by choice. Again, I'll come back to it.
Oh, please, in fact, please jump straight into it. What happened on New Year's Eve, Jordan?
So New Year's Eve, we got ahead of ourselves. So the plan was we were going to go to our friend's house. They're having a party, and the party started at like 8:30, 9. We got there at 5, and we put our kids. We gave them tea. We bathed them. They've got a little girl as well. Gave them tea, bathed them, put them down, normal bedtime. They went to sleep. It was great. We thought we had nailed it. About 10 o'clock comes, and someone came up to me and said, "Is that one of your children crying?" And my kids were in the same bedroom. So my little boy had woken up. The music had woken him up from the party. And then he couldn't get out of the room. The door was a little bit sticky. And in shouting, he woke up my little girl. So they were both awake. And they weren't good. Like, not that they were bad, but like they just didn't join in the party. They were groggy, they were tired, they were quite clingy. So we just said, look, it's better to go home. Like, they're not having a nice time. Let's call it. And that was the first time that we've not been able to do New Year's Eve since becoming parents.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the first one was, our little boy was like 3 months old, and he was in that just sleep anywhere kind of phase. Next two were in lockdown. Well, the next one was in lockdown. We had COVID the next one. So this is the first one since he's been like 3 months old. And it's different. Life's different with kids, and your plans have got to be flexible. And we were driving home. It was about 10:30, and I was yawning. I thought, this isn't the worst thing, you know. But I had this just kind of little moment of life's very different now. Your plans are changed. Your plans sometimes get cancelled, and that's fine. Like, it's okay. I thought I would be. We kept saying, I really hope they sleep through. And of course, we wanted them to. But it's fine. Like, things change. You've got to adapt. You've sometimes just got to say, look, yeah, I want to stay out, and yeah, I want to see the new year in with my friends. Everybody was there that we knew. Yeah. We were leaving an hour and a half early, and it's fine. I was all right with it. So yeah, bed at 10:30 was great.
But it's what you got to do with kids, isn't it? Like, that's part of the reason why we didn't attempt to do anything, because her routine was already out of whack. It's like, if she doesn't sleep well, the next week is going to be terrible. Yeah. And it's just like, make sure she's happy. I'll be honest, there's several New Year's we've not made it to previously, even before kids.
Oh, it's a struggle.
Yeah. So it wasn't too much of an impact for us, but it's just that thing of, it's when your kids aren't happy, it's not worth pushing through, because you're going to be miserable for the rest of the week. Yeah. But I'm glad it's done.
So you just went to bed normal, put her to bed at normal time?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
We had thought about doing some of the suggestions of putting like the Japanese New Year on. She wasn't bothered. She was so like hyped from Christmas. She was exhausted. We'd been traveling all week. And so we were literally home for like 2 days. And so she was just happy to be in her own bed. And so went down fine.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, New Year's. And then just so tired from the week. Just had a nice, lovely sleep.
It feels like a long time ago already.
Honestly, it feels like last year.
So much has changed between the last time we recorded, which was like pre-Christmas.
It was a few weeks ago though, wasn't it?
To now. And again, that's like another reminder for me, since we've been doing the pod, and we've basically been documenting our lives every 2 weeks. Yeah. Because we missed a week, things have changed so much, and it's a reminder to me how quickly things just completely turn on their head.
Oh, like, for me, one of the biggest things that happened over Christmas is my little toddler almost like grew up. She's now like a little child. I know that's what a toddler is, but she now feels like just a normal child. Like, she's talking normally, everything's normal. She's not like in that baby phase. It feels like over Christmas she's grown up, and it took like 2 weeks. Yeah. And it goes so quickly.
It does. It really does. So yeah, we had a good one. And I want to pick up on the dummy fairy.
Oh, the dummy fairy.
How'd that go?
What was how did we last leave it?
It wasn't going well.
So, for context, if you've not heard, my daughter still had a dummy at 2.5, and we thought we'd tackle it by having a visit from the dummy fairy, where you put the dummy in the box overnight, and the dummy fairy drops off a present. A good present, so they don't want to swap it back. Yep. She did not take kindly to it. But for the first 3 or 4 days. Then the rest of another 3 or 4 days there, it was a bit iffy. Now it's fine. Yeah? Yeah, literally fine. And everything I read online, and there's a few comments on TikTok, is literally, you go cold turkey. It's really difficult at the start, but then literally after a week, it's just gone.
Yeah.
They've forgotten about it. She still talks, well, doesn't anymore, but she still talked about her dummy.
Yeah.
But not like she needed it. She said, she would always say, I dropped my dummy for the dummy fairy. Now she gets to play with her Peppa Pig house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
But now it's gone.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
So if you're trying to get rid of the dummies, it's difficult, but cold turkey does work.
Do you know what I think that is? I think that's the first top tool of the year. Top tool. Oh,
Smashed
come on now.
Come on.
Starters with means gone. Dripping in New Year, New Me. Do you want to do some opening questions?
Let's do some opening questions. First of the year?
First of the year. So we had quite a few actually. So if you've not, if you sent in a question and we don't read it, we will get round to it at some point. But we had our first one from Helen on Instagram, and the question is, what have you never needed but were advised to buy when becoming parents?
Good one.
That is a good one.
There's actually several things in our house that are still lingering from when we bought before Noah was here. But unlike most people, we hadn't actually bought most of the stuff before Noah was here anyway. Because my daughter came quite a bit early, and so we hadn't bought everything, which actually works to our advantage. However, we also had a massive spreadsheet of all the stuff that we needed to buy, and we consulted with various parents that we knew, yourself being one.
That contributed to the spreadsheet.
The bath insert thing that you told us to buy.
So good.
Yeah. Have you got any?
That we didn't use, not particularly. I don't think we like just bought the things because we heard they were good. I think because we've got friends that are older, and my sister had kids. It was like, we had people saying, look, you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that. I think one thing that we have kind of learned is that you can buy one product that does multiple things.
Yeah.
So we had a baby monitor that had the temperature of the room in it. So we didn't need to buy a separate thermostat, a thermometer. A thermometer.
Oh, bad. I can't even blame tiredness. That's just stupidness.
I found it today, I found our thermometer that we bought in the bottom of the drawers, and I was thinking, why did we buy this? And we were advised to buy a thermometer, and it's wise to know how hot their room is.
Was it one of the egg ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it turned out that our baby monitor had the temperature on it, so we just didn't need it. So there's things like that that you do need that function, or do you need it?
Well, so we had the same, and we did use the little egg thermometer at the beginning because it was different to what was on the baby camera.
Oh,
but only by like a few degrees, and like we were super paranoid at the beginning. That room temperature had to be the right temperature, but for some reason it's still on the shelf. We don't use it. We've not used it for like 6 months, and it's still there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you after a while, especially with your second. Like we didn't use a monitor really with our second.
I imagine you've learned. You know what you need.
That's it. You learn, and different different sounds and different cries mean different things. And to be honest, the monitor broke, and she was a very good sleeper from about 8 months. So I think by the time we thought, right, we need to get a monitor now, she was sleeping through, so we didn't need it. If she woke up, it would be in the night, and she'd wake us up. Other thing that I wouldn't invest money in is a fancy changing bag.
Oh yeah.
You see a lot of fancy ones that do everything, all singing, all dancing. But this last week, we've just been using a backpack.
Honestly, convenience.
Yeah. It's just going to get ditched. Like, there's going to be at some point, the lid of your snack box isn't going to be on. There's just going to be crumbs everywhere. Yeah. And your fancy bag is going to get ruined.
Literally 20 quid from Amazon. That'll do you.
That'll do you. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to be annoyed when everything leaks.
We got given stuff that's far too early to use. So we got given a grow clock.
Yep.
Just as she was born.
You can have another one. Still doesn't work.
Like now she's almost at the stage where she can understand and use it.
Yeah.
Try to tell a 6-month-old, wait till it's green to wake up.
3-year-old still struggles.
We have made several middle of the night purchases.
I remember you telling me this.
We've done this quite a few times. And some of the stupidest ones is that you think one certain thing gets them to sleep a different way, or somehow they fall asleep on a certain type of blanket, and so you buy loads of them.
Yeah.
And they don't do it ever again.
Yeah. We touched on this recently. Formulas and the expensive formulas.
Oh, yeah.
Try the cheaper ones first.
Yeah.
Before you go spending the money and they get used to it.
I wonder if there's many adults that have taste tested them.
Oh, they're minging. There's been a few times where like it'll spill on your finger a little bit, so you just kind of lick it off. Oh, it's not nice. It is not nice at all. But yeah, that's a good one for listeners, actually. Let us know. What things did you buy that you just didn't need?
We've got another question from Catsby, and it says, my eyes are terrible. How to feel not guilty when returning to work.
Oof.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. It's a big one. And I'm going to put out the call again to especially female listeners that take, 9 months or a year. How did you cope with that?
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to hear how mums, because it's a whole different ball game for mums.
Even from the people that I know that have done like shared parental leave as well, there is definitely a difference in how the mum and how the dad respond. Like I still feel guilty now, like when I got to go to work, and even when she's at home with my wife, I still feel guilty that I just have to go do what, even if I'm working from home, like just shut the door, like move into a different room. There's still like a bit of guilt there. It's more that I want to be with them sometimes. Sometimes I'm happy for the space.
Mate, preach.
But yeah, there's definitely an element of guilt there, especially at the beginning when it's like tough, when you adjust into like life with a baby, and one of you has to go to work. It's like a bit of a break, but also a bit of guilt.
I'm not sure how. I won't say I had so much guilt because a lot of working from home time kind of offset that.
Yeah.
I would say one thing that personally my approach is, and this is going to sound super obvious, just make the most of the time at home. So when I get in from work, you're tired. Yeah, you just want to put your feet up. But I love doing bath time because if I didn't do that time, I wouldn't spend time with them. I wouldn't see them on the days that I do go to the office. Yeah. So yeah, making the most of the time at home is a good one for me. And then we go right back to one of the earlier episodes where you get the like witching hour. Yeah. I can't remember how it was worded, but
when you only get the worst of them.
Yeah. I think it's very intentional for me to make sure I don't give them the worst of me, but just try and ride it out because it's all phases, like we've discussed. It's all going to change in 3 days. Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest thing. And like in a year's time, it's going to be a completely different setup. So just try and enjoy it as best you can. And it's so hard when you're tired and you just need like a little mental checkout. But if you've only got like that hour or so with them, there's always that thing of you never get it back, but you never get any time back. But it's just trying to, and I try to remind myself all the time, like try to just leave my phone in a different room, because if it's there, any moment that I just have a little mental checkout, I'll be on my phone, and it will last longer than I intended. Yeah. But yeah, that's quite a difficult one. I'd like to hear, especially like the female perspective on that.
Yeah, mums, let us know if you did have that kind of guilt feeling. What did you do to overcome it? Please do let us know. So Jason, season 2, and we've changed. We're not changing things. Are we adding things? How would you describe it? Tweaking. We're tweaking some things. So our guest episodes are going to look a little bit different. So we are quite mindful on this podcast not to give advice, but to just share experience. Yeah. We try not to say do this and it will work. We try to say this is what worked for us. With that in mind, we would actually like to provide you, the listeners, with some actionable advice. So we're going to start to invite some experts in their field on starting this month. So at the end of the month, on our episode on the 27th of January, we have a sleep coach, sleep consultant, Daisy Ferns, who will be joining us to talk all things getting better sleep with your baby.
And please send us the questions that you want to ask, because we'll be that for you, even if it's just to play dumb or even just a challenge on some of the stuff that we've read or heard. Any sort of, I'm at the stage where I would take any advice. Yeah. So if you want us to ask any questions, just let us know. Yep. And doesn't matter how awkward they are, Jordan will ask them.
And the other thing we would like to know is, what topics do you want us to cover? Who do you want to hear from? What kind of area? So we've got sleep as the first one, because that was
so predominant.
That was the decision I made at like 5:30. I thought the expert that I want on is the sleep coach. Yeah, so what do you want to hear? Is it nutrition? Is it going back to work? Things like that. Let us know, and we can reach out to some people and get them on the podcast.
I thought, John, it'd be good for the new year to have. I mean, you're quite witty. You're quick off the mark.
Well,
you've got a bank of dad jokes in your brain.
I appreciate that.
I can only hold one at a time.
What is the one you've got?
So I was thinking about bringing just my dad joke of the week.
Love it. I'm all for it.
Set it up so you know it's coming as well, because I got to set it up that way. Start the classic. Why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know. Why did the chicken indeed cross the road?
Because.
I wasn't expecting that.
So shout out to.
I'm all for joke of the week.
You weren't won over until that.
No, that's so good. You've set the bar high.
So I heard that joke from a friend who his wife had sent it to him, but they work in an open office and
Wow.
they sent it on a voice note.
Amazing.
So they had to recount the joke in an open office. Brilliant.
That's so good. That's tickled me, that has. Oh man, so I mentioned that my daughter is a fairly good sleeper. From about 8 months she's been sleeping very well, and when I say very well, I mean 6:30
Unbelievably.
till 6:30.
Yeah.
It's very rare she is up past 6:30, which shortens our days a little bit when you're out and about, but I will take it. I would prefer that. And we had one of Leanne's friends, one of her long school friends, stay over, and we were quite confident that we'd get good sleep. You know, we'll just get Mila down, deal with Luca later on. Mila didn't sleep well this particular day. She was up from midnight until 2 a.m. with a friend in the house without kids.
Oh.
And that for us was like, oh, it's going to put her off having kids, and she's not going to want to come and visit again and all that kind of stuff. So it was a bit awkward, probably more like self-inflicted. I'm sure, well, in the morning, a friend was like, oh, I didn't even hear her. I'm sure a parent would have heard, because you're attuned to it, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
She's like, I didn't hear her. But it was just an awful night of sleep. And because we had friends staying over, I was in Luca's bed with him. He then woke up at, I think it was 6:20.
Nice.
In bed with a 3-year-old. What go, like, do they run a marathon in the night? They just don't stop moving. I don't understand. And he's got this thing, after Christmas, it was like, can I have a toy in bed with me? It's like, yeah, pick one toy. And he picks the biggest thing.
The toys.
So there's me, this massive spaceship, him, my wife on the other side. 2 a.m. we were up, 6:20 we were up then, so about 4 hours sleep. The next day, I was ruined. I was absolutely ruined. Got a text off you saying, Noah slept through for 13 hours. Which was not well received, I've got to be honest.
To be honest, when you told me that the lack of sleep that you had, I thought, get in. Have a little taste.
Yeah, have a little taste. But I said to my wife, I said, no one, like, I felt terrible that next day.
Yeah.
Like, trying to work, not being able to focus, not being able to concentrate, your mind all over the place. Mid-afternoon was terrible. I just wanted to sleep / die. It was, and I thought, you know what? No wonder I felt awful in the early months of having 2 of them.
Oh, mate, it's awful.
When we were doing that every day. And I genuinely, after one day, thought, how did we cope?
It's mad, because sleep deprivation is genuinely, like, the worst.
Honest.
And it's like, you do get used to a certain level of it.
Yep.
Like, for us, it's not uncommon to go 2 or 3 weeks where we're waking up 5 or 6 times a night. Yeah. But you get used to it. But then when you have a good night's sleep, or she stays at nanny's or something like that, it changes everything. And there's no wonder that, like, my daughter as well, she's having more tantrums when she's tired
Yeah.
because we feel completely wrecked, and like I just can't carry as many things in my mind, and like can't juggle as much stuff at work, and like it literally affects every area. And so no wonder, like, when you're new parents, you look just completely out of it.
Oh man.
So I don't know how people do it consistently
Yeah.
and stay on top of just life.
Yeah. I've said this before. I've got a job where I'm sat at a laptop. I've got a friend with 2 kids, like kind of a year older than our kids. He's a policeman. And he'll text me like, oh, I'm at a murder scene, or there's been a terrorist threat or whatever. I'm thinking, how? How are you doing that? I'm struggling to write an email. Like, what? How are you coping? So, yeah, it was a kind of a flashback to early months, and it was also I don't want to do this again. Because our daughter is so good.
Yeah.
And she's so cute. That's the other thing. It's not just a nighttime, it's a daytime.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, I could have another one of you. That night, I was thinking, no.
So you're almost swayed. That kept you in check.
Oh, she gets me,
But that's the thing. Even with the sleep deprivation, I'm like, she's so cute.
Yep.
Just so sweet in the day. As soon as like the sun goes down, it's like Jekyll and Hyde comes out.
Both of them.
But I thought we had one.
But that was the thing. She was awake, but she was happy, and she was talking, and she was giggling. There was just no like overtiredness. It was just like, please be tired.
So that's one thing that I'm not very good at the moment, is that when my daughter knows that she's like being naughty and purposely coming out of bed and keeps running out, she's never doing it like maliciously.
Yeah.
She just wants to play. And so when she creeps out of her door, she's got the biggest grin on her face just because she sees you.
Yeah.
And it's like she looks quite serious when she's creeping out because she's like being careful. And as soon as she sees you, the biggest grin, it's like, no, this is not playtime. As much as I just want to cuddle her and jump with her and play with her. But oh man, trying to do that like 6 or 7 times a night. No.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. And that's the other thing, like, it could be worse.
It could be worse. It could always be worse.
It could always be worse.
Like even for us, like when we're up, you're up for 30 seconds and then she goes straight back to sleep. But some people, like, they're up for hours constantly.
Yeah.
Or even, there's a couple that I know where they just don't know when their child's going to sleep. And it's
not even predictable.
They've gone completely baby-led, but it changes so much all the time. I just couldn't do that.
No.
It would literally send me chaos. Even thinking about it is ruining me.
Send you doolally. That's a funny word.
Doolally.
So, Jace, what else happened over New Year?
Honestly, I can't remember.
It was a year ago.
Honestly, these last few days have just like ruined all my memory.
Oh, I tell you what happened.
Oh,
The annual Spotify Wrapped.
oh, come on! I was really excited about this.
So I did it last year for the first time, so I knew what to expect this year.
Okay.
And it's all just kids songs. Or like, you see all like your mates on Instagram posting the screenshots, and there's like all these really cool bands like that no one has ever heard of.
Yeah.
And like or like indie albums. Mine's like, what was it? All the songs from Sing, the film.
Nice.
Like, they're okay, but like when your album cover is an elephant, an animated elephant, and a koala.
Were you in the top 1% of listeners?
I think I was top 5.
Really?
Yeah.
We were in the top like 2% of something of, I don't know how it's not more, of a calming piano music song that we play at bedtime every day. I don't know who's listened to that more than like 3 times a day, but they're beating us.
Oh, I don't know where I would pull it up now, but it would take me ages. I don't know how to find it. The only song that wasn't a kid's song was Sky Full of Stars by Coldplay, which features in Sing 2. And he's not quite noticed the difference between the one from the film and the real one, so I play the real one. Because in the film there's this whole like dance scene with a gorilla and an angry monkey. So Coldplay still sneak in.
So that's again, like, kids just take over everything, even like your music.
Yep.
We've started doing this thing now in the car. For a while we just let her listen to whatever she wanted. Like, we were quite excited that she had choices and had
Yeah.
favourite songs. Now we kind of take it in turns, and she's learning whose turn it is that day to pick the music,
Yeah.
which is quite nice. But then she disses my music. She's like, I don't like Daddy's music.
Just music shames you.
Yeah. I don't want to listen to Daddy's music. It's like, well, you got no choice.
It's that whole thing of like trying to make them think they've had a choice, but it's the choice that you want.
Yeah. You've got 3 choices. It's the same choice.
Yeah. Do you want one of Mummy's songs or Daddy's songs? It's like my songs. And they just know. They just introduce their third option.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not dumb.
They're not dumb. That's what's so frustrating. So one of the things that I was thinking about, not really just thinking about, experience, especially over Christmas, lack of sleep, all of that sort of stuff. And this going to a little bit more of a deeper thing. And I don't know how much of this is common, or maybe it's more of a generational thing, I don't know. But I try as hard as I can never to shout at my daughter.
Oh, it's hard, isn't it?
And then when I do, I feel so guilty. Like, our whole kind of approach to parenting is that we don't shout. That's like one of our things. We don't. You can raise your voice, that's fine. You can be serious, but to shout and almost like lose it, there's a definite line. And when I say like completely lose it, I'm not like smashing things up. It's just one shout or 2 things, and it's just like, for me, that's the line of when I've lost it, and I feel so bad.
Yeah.
About it. But it's just more of that thing of, I know I'm not doing a terrible job, and you have to remind yourselves of that every time that happens. Or the worst, that this is where it came up in, is that my daughter had a night terror.
Oh.
And I think I texted you about it. The worst thing about that is they're crying and you can't soothe them.
Yeah.
My daughter didn't want to be touched. She was still like half asleep, and even when she did come around, she was confused and still really upset. But it causes tension in between me and my wife, because we both don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then we start arguing, and it's like that causes then tension, and it's like you're arguing in front of your kids, and it's like, oh no, and you just feel awful for the next like day. Just that kind of process of going, part of that's normal, but then there's still the desire in me to go, I actually still want to do better regardless. Like, I want to get to the point where I can always keep a little note, especially when my daughter's more aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Is that like a common...
Mate. Yeah. I think so. Before I had kids, I was always like, not judgmental, but people were like, I don't say no to my children and I don't shout at them. I'll be like, oh, whatever. Like they're going to have to learn. The problem is for me, well, it's not a problem, but the thing for me is whatever we act around my little boy, he will do to our little girl.
Yeah.
So if we raise our voice and shout, he will do that to her, and we don't want him to do that. So it's kind of like, you can't say to him, look, don't shout at people, when we then shout at him. But there are times where you need to get your point across. Yeah. And you just can't help but raise your voice.
Yeah.
And that's something I always go back to, like, school and life. There are going to be people that tell you off. So therefore, in my view, if you're one of these that doesn't say no, that sounded really patronizing and condescending. If you're one of these, I apologize. If you're one of those people that have chosen to not, in my view, I didn't want to do that because I feel like I'm setting him up for kind of a shock when he goes to school and someone tells him no. Yeah. Or when he goes to work and someone tells him no. If he goes for a job interview and someone tells him no. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I didn't want to take that approach. But as soon as I saw he would reflect that behaviour with his sister, I thought, right, now I need to be a little bit mindful of what we do. And
I think it's the way in which you do that, because I'm nowhere near against like boundaries. Like, boundaries are really important for adults as well as kids.
Yeah.
But it was my reaction to a lot of stuff was to raise my voice straight away and to shout. Obviously, there's times when you need to do that. Literally over Christmas, wrapping presents up. Noah went to grab the scissors. That's an immediate shout moment of, no. And it was like, I scared her a little bit. Yeah. Because she'd not really heard me shout like that. But it was like, I explained afterwards, I'm like, I shouted because it was really dangerous. I needed you to react right away. And like, you can't grab people's scissors, all that sort of stuff. And I probably shouted louder than was necessary. But that I wasn't like beating myself up about that. But it was the seeing like her immediate reaction. I was like, oh wow, she's quite scared about that.
Yeah.
That should never be my first reaction to stuff which isn't like immediate danger. Because I think half the time she doesn't understand. But when I explain things to her slowly and calmly, she tends to take it on board a lot more. But then again, shout when necessary, but it's that you can say no and you can discipline without having to resort straight away to shouting.
Yeah.
Unless they're just screaming their head off. But then when you think about school, in my experience, the teachers that had the most discipline and that could control the class the most were the ones that never shouted. They were like really calm. There was that air of like authority where they didn't have to raise their voice. And I don't know how they do it. Maybe I should consider like training to be a teacher just to learn.
For me, it was the one or the other. It was the like, I'm like, we like that teacher, and therefore what they say we'll do.
Yeah.
But then there's also the authoritarian that has no messing, and you know, 1 foot wrong that you're done. So it's kind of extremes.
Yeah.
For me, the ones were the ones that like didn't quite either way. They weren't cool. They weren't authoritarian. They didn't control the class. And then when they try to shout, people just kind of laughed at them.
Yeah.
And I apologise if you're listening to this and you're one of my teachers.
I was terrible at school.
Oh my goodness.
Terrible.
I
also couldn't be a teacher.
No, nor me at all. No, I wouldn't want to be a teacher at all. But no, it is. It's one of those ones that, like you say, circumstantial, and kids that are, preschool age certainly don't understand that. Like, oh, daddy's shouting because I'm in danger, or daddy's shouting because I'm in trouble. They don't understand the context of it. It's just shouting. You've just got to roll with it, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got to roll with it. It's a tricky one though, and we've got plenty of time to figure it out.
And I think for me, it's even what you said, like what you do, your kids copy you. And like my daughter says phrases all the time, and I don't realise what I say until I hear her saying it. So one of her favourite things, her go-to is right, okay. Literally those right, okay. Yeah. And I say it all the time, and I've only realised I say it all the time when she started repeating it. And so it's I don't want her to be just shouting at everyone when she wants something. Now she does that anyway because she's going through that phase. But I can at least say she's not learnt that from us. It's just she's just learning how to express herself and push boundaries. We
have that a lot where we just look at each other and go, "Is that me or you that he's got that from?" Example: the other day, he was lying on the floor. And I was like, "Luca, jump up!" And he just looked up at me and he went, "Give me strength." I thought, where has he got that from? Because I don't say that. My wife was like, I think that's me. I think I say that. Give me strength. Some like 3-year-old just like on the floor, hand on his forehead, give me strength.
My daughter's favourite new one at the minute is when she's going to the toilet, whatever it is, going, disgusting.
Like the Scottish
accent, yeah.
Oh, I like that video. Yeah. Oh, wow. Disgusting.
She's heard us go, disgusting.
It is striking that balance of like respect and fear.
Yeah, totally.
I don't want my children to ever fear or be afraid of me, but I do want them to respect what I'm saying and what I'm telling them.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely an element. So like, again, my daughter started like hitting us recently because she doesn't know how to express herself, and that's one of the things that we're trying to like discipline our way through. And it's I don't want her to fear me, but and it's really impossible to ask a 2-year-old to assume like the awareness of how powerful someone else is. Yeah. Because you don't learn that even when you're at school.
Do you know? If I hit you back.
So I used to play fight all the time at school. And I remember in primary school, one of the teachers saying to me, because I used to play fight with my friends who were much bigger than me, they were like, you don't realise that they could really hurt you. Yeah. I'm like, we're only playing. But only now as like older going, I understand what they were trying to say. I had no concept of like bigger, more powerful or anything like that. So fear at this stage, I don't think I definitely don't want that. But also demanding respect from my 2-year-old as well, it seems.
Respect my authority.
But it's definitely like laying down the framework, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
How so hard, so difficult.
Tricky one. my approach is just roll with it.
Just roll with
That
it.
is it at the minute. I just think roll with it. I've been listening to a podcast recently called My First 5 Years. My wife introduced me to it.
Oh, okay.
And I would love to have them on as guests because they're so good and so easy to listen to. And they're just kind of saying, look, at this age, your kids are too young to understand. So as a parent, don't worry about it. They call it realistic parenting. It's like New Year's Eve, for example. You know, if you're going out and you're doing something completely different for an evening, you've got to imagine or have as an option that it could go not to plan.
Yeah.
Just be real about it. You know, don't be upset when it doesn't happen the way you've planned it. Don't be annoyed with them. It's going to happen. It might happen. And that's something that they talk about a lot, is this realistic parenting of your kids having a tantrum in Tesco or wherever other supermarkets are available. It's going to happen. It could happen.
It could happen.
You've just got to recognise that they're too young at the minute to understand that isn't socially okay.
Yeah.
So just deal with it as calmly as you can.
Do you hear that, TikTok commenters?
Yeah.
The amount of times, just terrible parenting.
Yeah, terrible. Terrible parenting.
I like that though. Just realistic expectations.
Yeah. Hey, that was a deep one to start off with.
Oh, mate, new year, new me, new season.
Yeah, same old me. No, that was a good one. Yeah, it's a tricky balance, especially like we say, it changes so often. Like, do you know, a few months ago, I just said to my little boy, should we go be happy?
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, all right, then, yeah, like everything stopped. I don't think that would work now. Like, once it works, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, it would change. And it's like figuring out something else.
So much is going on in their brains, and like they're developing so quickly that it is, honestly, it's madness. But I would love to hear kind of people's experiences, because I always reflect on my parenting off the back of being with other parents, like seeing how they discipline, like around the playground or anything like that, or like taking mental notes of get down to eye level. Oh, that worked really well. Don't do that. All that sort of stuff.
I wouldn't get down to eye level at the minute if she's hitting. You're within striking distance. Stand on a chair. That's what I'd do.
Turn up to nursery. I've got bruises all over my face.
Oh, amazing. So thank you for listening to us once again. If you are new around these parts and you
Where I hear, I don't know what that was either. I tried like a Western accent.
if you're new listening to the podcast and you've not written in before, please do. You can email us at parentingtoolspod@gmail.com,
or you can find us on TikTok and Instagram at parentingtoolspod.
Good to be back.
It's good to be back.